So there is a help menu. Like I said, you could always just type in help. It will try to get you into the best place, :help. If you find yourself lost, read the friendly manual, as they keep telling me over and over again. I believe that's what RTFM stands for. I'm pretty sure it's read the friendly manual. A motion is anything that moves your cursor. This is taken straight out of the help document. So anytime my cursor moves, I have performed what is referred to as a motion. I know that's a little bit weird, but it is what it is. There's also going to be some weird abbreviations that I'll use from time to time. One like Control A. I will abbreviate it like this, which probably looks a little bit funny, where it has a capital C dash A and it has brackets around it. The reason why I will be abbreviating everything like that is that Vim has its own editor language that you can kind of set it up and make it the way you want. And that's how you actually type it in the editor. So just to kind of make it so it's easier to remember, I will always be saying it properly, but it will be displayed as like C-A for Control A. Enter is abbreviated as CR, carriage return, I believe, or maybe it's something completely different, but I just always say carriage return. Tab, escape, space. You can actually just display them as these little bracketed characters, space, escape, tab. And when you see anything that starts with a :, it means it is a command. All right, and you'll get more familiar with these things. Honestly, they'll get easier as time goes on. I just wanted to make sure that at least we cover the language I will use so it feels easier for everyone. All right, so I hope everyone here is ready. I mean, I'm very excited. I hope everyone else is really excited. I just love the experience. I know that kind of seems silly, but it's just something that I just can't stand how great it is. And when I learn something new, it feels exciting because I'm like learning something that's going to make my day-to-day life better. I'm going to be faster. I'm going to have better understanding. It's just magical to me. We have a question over here. What kind of development can we do in Vim, and is it better suited for some than others? Well, here's the deal that I like to kind of operate with Vim, is everything but JDK. That's my general kind of rule, is that IntelliJ is just so good when it comes to working with Java or any of the kind of JDK environment that I tend to use it just for that. Even though NeoVim has a lot of tools that are being developed, and it's getting better all the time, it's just hard to compete with IntelliJ on that one aspect. For me, any language that has a language server, an LSP, a language server protocol, if it has that, Vim can use that. Every major thing has plugins that will give you autocomplete, they'll give you jump definition, find references. It has everything that every other editor has. They're just usually formed in plugins. So Vim itself won't have them specifically. It'll have some built-in ways you can do them via C tags. I won't cover C tags. They're largely defeated due to LSPs. There's still some use cases for them. But in the end, Vim can be used for pretty much anything. But like I said, generally recommend it for Java, or I generally recommend something else for Java just because of how complex it is. Just better experience, right? But I do want to remind everyone, this is a journey. It's not a day trip. This class is going to be over some set of hours. But to be good at Vim, you can't get good in a day. You can't get good at virtually anything with a computer in a day. You have to look at it as a long-term item. And the hard part about Vim is that the journey is uphill. Just like when you first learned your first language on a computer, if you've been developing for a while, if you remember that moment of how confusing and hard it was, because you're both learning the syntax and what the syntax means at the same time, it's really hard, those first little bits. And it's just like that with Vim. It is hard to begin with because you're just trying to reprogram your brain to do something that feels really unintuitive, right? It feels normal to go, I want to go to this part of this code. So I'm going to use my mouse, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to highlight and select it, and I'm going to copy it with Control-C. Like you're used to that. That makes sense because that's what's always around. It's momentum. But Vim offers a completely new way, and it's just different. But trust me, it's way better. And here's a good, the last part is the top of the mountain. It's awesome, right? Like any good journey, the top of the mountain is incredible. And I may be at the top of the mountain right now, but I'm still only halfway up. And so don't ever stop. Yes, I did just quote Dr. Disrespect. Let it happen. But the deal is that even though I feel like I'm at the top, I never want to stop that desire to learn. That desire to think that there's still more, even if I can't see it, there's still more out there. And I don't want to stop now. Like I said, for the live class, I do stream on Twitch. asking questions, those kind of things. You're not going to confuse me. You're not going to stump me. I'm not going to get my train of thought lost. If you have stuff and I do a question part, feel free. Trust me, it's only going to help people. It's not going to hurt me. And there's really no dumb questions about Vim because Vim is just so much different than your standard thing that everything feels new and unique. I also have some GitHub projects set up. So the first one is this Vim Fundamentals. You can click through that. I believe we can get the actual link in the chat. That will be for the GitHub project itself. But there's also going to be a second one called Vim Nav Playground. That one you should clone down. I will have another spot where I say, hey, everyone, let's clone it down. But just so you know, get ready to jump on GitHub, clone it down. It'll be very useful if you follow along and do the actions with me. You don't have to. But once again, you're not even walking on that. You're not even taking the day trip. We got a long way to go. So just follow along if you can. And lastly, we need to clean the environment, meaning that if you use Vim now, we want to remove everything that you've set custom in Vim. And I'll go over that here shortly, okay? Yeah, so so the question is like, am I going to map out what's kind of in Vim? I know there's plugins, but also what about like Vim specific items? Earlier I did talk about how I started by learning just the motions in IntelliJ. We're going to kind of take an inverse approach to this. In other words, we're going to learn about Vim, and I'll show you some motions. I'll show you how to use them. I'll show you how to walk around, but we're going to learn the components of Vim and also how to use them or change them with plugins. So we're going to hopefully cover everything. I haven't tried using many of the Vim plugins in VS Code. In general, how I think about it is that VS Code is its own environment and has its own plugins, its own methodology, its own way, besides for the Vim motions, which is very valuable. It's a great stepping stone. Like if you wanted to get into Vim, but you're like, holy cow, when I open it, I have no idea what's happening. I get it. A great place to start, which is the place I started, is use my favorite editor, use Vim mode, get familiar, become as productive with just using the keyboard, and then I made the jump myself. Actually, I became more productive just using the keyboard, and eventually I made the jump. I also stopped programming Java at that point and started doing C++ and TypeScript and other languages, and it just works fantastic for all those. And so that's kind of like the general, I'd say, recommended approach. Because there's so many options and because there's so many great editors out there that have so many features, it just makes sense we live in a world where Vim is off to the side. So totally start with the plugin and slowly make the transition if you even want to make the transition. If you don't, the editing speed gain you will get by just learning Vim motions is incredible. There's so many things you can do at such crazy rates. It's just, it's bananas. Just straight bananas. No, that's a good question. So the question is, all right, so there's a lot to learn. I mean, even just me saying the terminology, some people are like, okay, what was the thing? Right, like, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of stuff to learn, and it can definitely feel overwhelming. Like I said, my first hour of using Vim, I swear I was going to have a panic attack because I couldn't move as fast. I just wanted to use the mouse. I just wanted to do all these things because it just didn't feel normal, and there's so much to remember, and I had to think about what I was going to do instead of doing the thing I wanted to do. And that is just like very normal. Here's the deal. Just try to take it in slices, right? Like after today, you'll have a bunch of ideas of what is available. You may not be able to kind of codify exactly what they are in your head, but what you can do is simply rewatch a part or just take, like, say, your basic motions and get good at them. And then just add a couple more motions in, add a couple more motions in, and just slowly get better at editing. And then learn a little bit about this, rewatch that, go read about it, and just take small steps. Because if you try to do it all at once, honestly, you'll be confused. It is kind of confusing doing everything at once. I like the kind of progressive learning approach where I learn the basics and then just slowly layer on a little bit at a time. I think, honestly, that is the best way to learn.